Well, the time has come to deliver the Algos. There it is. Now, what's this new ship's name? Algos is from ancient Greek, the word meaning pain, sorrow, trouble, grief, distress, woe. You get the idea. It can also be used for something that causes pain or suffering, and I suppose that's what's behind the Gallente naming of this ship class. In Greek mythology, Algos in the plural designates the daughters of Eris, the goddess of war and discord, and not coincidentally, the Gallente Interdictor class ship. It seems to Jane that some alliteration is called for, so she'll call her new ship Agony. Agony the Algos. As a child, you may have read about Jane in a popular series of books used in school to teach children how to read. But the conventional happy image of her life painted in those stories was a lie. All grown up now, she has become a capsuleer with a chip on her shoulder and a commitment to follow 4 rules she calls her guiding stars. These are the adventures of Jane Honesty, and in this challenge, we shall see how and how far Jane can fly while staying true to her convictions. Now that we're on board, it's time to talk about fitting. Keeping in mind that Jane can't just go out and buy whatever she wants, I've been fiddling around in PIFA and I've put together a baseline fit. It assumes all straight T1 modules with no meta. And right off the bat, you'll notice that we have a problem here. With Jane's skills, as they currently are, the power grid is overloaded. So at least at the beginning, we're going to have to depend on swapping some of these out for meta and other sorts of modules. But as a baseline, here's what we have to work with. In the high slots, in all of the available turrets, we're putting 125mm railguns. And in the utility slot, we're starting out with a small remote armor repairer. We have an eye on the possibility that we might swap this out with a core probe launcher sooner or later, but for now, having the small remote armor repairer on here will come in handy when, not if, our drones take a beating. In the mids, we'll start with an afterburner, and next, a tracking computer, because railguns being what they are, if things get up close, we'll probably need some help applying their damage. Ideally, we'd have an optimal range script and a tracking speed script on hand to customize the bonuses for that. But right now, we don't have blueprints for those, so we'll add that to Jane's list. And then, a cap battery, which, in combination with a small capacitor control circuit 1, gives us the ability to keep everything running for a whole 42 seconds. And that may not sound like much, but it's still more time than we had when we started out in the Velator. And we don't anticipate having to run everything very often. Without the remote armor repairer on, which we expect it won't be most of the time, we have a whole 2 minutes. And when we're not repairing ourselves with the armor repairer, we're cap stable. So, on the whole, I think that's going to get us by. And that doesn't count that, again, this is assuming all T1 modules. Things improve as we swap the baseline things out for meta, and in some cases, we even have some bling on hand that we'll get to later. In the lows, we're going to have a damage control, and that gives us a little bit more buffer, especially down here in the hull structure hit points. And we are going to have an armor repairer, and ideally, we would like to have a drone damage amplifier. Again, we don't have a blueprint for that, not yet, but hope to soon. On to the rigs. We've already mentioned the small capacitor control circuit one. Along with that, we'll put on a small transverse bulkhead one, which again improves our structure hit points so that we can stay on the field a little bit longer. And then we're going to put on a small hybrid metastasis adjuster one. And that, again, is about the tracking of our guns. We want to be able to apply the damage. The one last thing that we have to look at is the drones. And we're loading 6 light drones and 3 mediums. That fills up the drone bay. The pattern of 6 and 3 makes it possible for using the small stuff for when we're fighting frigates and destroyers, and the mediums when we're fighting cruisers and up. Also, we have an extra drone in our flight of smalls so that when we lose one, we'll be able to carry on. In the cargo, we're packing, we hope sometime soon, an optimal range script, tracking speed script, and again our antimatter and thorium, which we've been using pretty much all along. If we load antimatter in the guns, then our guns are going to be doing each of them 14.7 DPS, which along with the drones brings our DPS to 164.7, which for starting out seems pretty respectable. No place to go but up. From here, this is the baseline. And now, having seen all of that, let's see how much of this Jane can cobble together. Let's start with the rigs. Jane has made one each of the rigs she wants ahead of time, so we will just go right ahead and load those all on there. Easy peasy. Now the lows. We have a small ITAC-A Enduring Armor Repairer, so that's an upgrade from what the baseline told us. We have a damage control ready to go. And now we're missing the drone damage amplifier, so in the meantime, we'll see if we can fit this Vortex compact magnetic field stabilizer, just because it's what we have on hand. Okay, up to the mids. We have a Corelli A-type 1 meganewton afterburner, and we'll fit that. We have a FTAC-12 Enduring Tracking Computer, so that is a step up from the baseline where we started. And we have a small compact lead-acid cap battery, so we'll fit that. Everything there, then, a step up from where we started in the baseline. Now the highs. Jane has a single meta 125mm. That's the Scout version. And the rest she's going to have to fill in for now just with railgun ones. So we'll load those on there. All 4 of them. So we have a mixed set of guns, not ideal. Hopefully we'll be swapping those straight T1 things out soon enough. And to top it off, we have a Corelli A-type small remote armor repairer, so get a little bit more bling. And now the drones. We said we wanted 6 Hornets to go in, so we'll drop 6 of them in there, and then we'll fill in the rest with the Vespas. 3 of them go in, and that takes care of drones. And last but not least, we need to talk about ammo. So we said we wanted antimatter. Let's load 3,000 of those. We're probably going to go through them pretty quick. And thorium, 3,000 of those, just for the sake of argument. And then let's drop antimatter into the guns to start us off. And that's the fit. So if we bring the theory and what we ended up with together, we're still pretty short on capacitor when everything's running. We did squeeze out an extra second or two, and we squeezed out an extra just over 10 DPS, and wonder of wonders, the power grid is stable. I'm Casparius. Back in the day, a season of a TV series nearly always ran 13 episodes. With the end of episode 13, 14 counting the pilot, the first season of The Adventures of Jane Honesty comes to an end. The good news is the channel's extremely upper management has signed off on a renewal for Season 2, which will be starting production soon. It'll be a few weeks, but I'll put an announcement in the channel when I've got a date for Season 2 to begin. As always, thanks for watching, and until then, wherever you roam in New Eden and beyond, be well and fly safe.